Greetings. I'm Dr. Pearl John, and welcome to the Other 167. And let me extend a warm New Year greeting to all of you. We focus on a very important question. Are you ready for a new beginning? Seizing the power of new beginnings. As we stand on the brink of a brand new year, there is something magnetic about a fresh start. It's like opening a crisp, untouched journal ready to write stories of growth, redemption, and purpose. New beginnings carry hope, the promise that whatever lies behind us doesn't define what's ahead. Life, no matter how chaotic or uncertain, is full of opportunities to start over. And the Bible is packed with stories of God's faithfulness in turning over new pages, not just in circumstances, but in hearts and minds. The new year is not about magical resolutions, but meaningful renewal. It's about choosing faith over fear, surrender over striving, and trusting that the same God who began a good work in us will complete it. And we read that in Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. Let's explore three transformative truths about new beginnings through the lens of the scripture. The first one, forget what's behind and focus forward. Forget the former things, do not dwell in the past. See, I am doing a new thing, says Isaiah 43:18 and 19. And God specializes in turning setbacks into springboards for new seasons. The prophet Isaiah reminds us not to dwell on the former things, but instead to look forward with expectation. However, releasing the past isn't easy. Regret clings to us like a heavy baggage, but carrying yesterday's hurts prevents us from stepping into today's promises. Now, picture a runner in a race. If they keep looking back to see who's chasing them, they lose focus and stumble. This reminds me of a man who lost his job during the pandemic. At first, he felt defeated, clinging to thoughts of how things used to be. But he embraced God's promise of doing a new thing and took a leap of faith and started his own small business. And today, his new season reflects God's faithfulness more powerfully than the chapter he left behind. God isn't holding us captive to our past, He's preparing us for a greater thing ahead. Don't stare at the closed door. God's already working on a new one. Secondly, surrender for a start. And trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5. Starting fresh requires more than ambition. It requires surrender. The hardest part of a new beginning is often the relinquishing of control. Like clay in the potter's hands, we must trust God to shape us, refine us, and reposition us. I think of a young woman I met recently. She had an incredible plan for her career, a perfect roadmap, if you will, mapped out step by step. But when things didn't go as planned, she felt lost. Through prayer and supplication, she discovered that surrender wasn't giving up, it was handing over. And she learned to trust God's design. And today she's striving in a role where she never would have chosen, but is precisely where God wanted her to be. Surrender isn't the end of control, it's the beginning of peace and purpose. The tighter you hold your plan, the harder you miss God's purpose. Go and trust Him. The third area is step in faith and see the future. Now, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. We read that in Hebrews 11 and 1. New beginnings require faith. They demand a willingness to take steps without knowing where the path leads. Faith bridges the gap between fear and fulfillment. And many biblical figures like Abraham and Moses and Peter had to move forward in faith before they could see God's provision. Imagine walking into a dark room only to find a motion activated light switch. It only illuminates the path after you take the first step. That's how faith works. A friend of mine recently felt called to start a non-profit to help at risk youth. She had no resources, little experience, and every reason to stay in her comfort zone. But she stepped forward, trusting God would provide. And now hundreds of lives are being changed because of her faith driven leap. Faith isn't about seeing the whole picture, it's about trusting the painter. Faith is the courage to take the first step, trusting God to light the rest of the way. Let me conclude. God's blueprint for new beginnings isn't defined by the calendar, it's defined by the condition of our hearts. Every day can be a fresh start if we let go of the past, surrender our plans, and walk forward in faith. The God who created the heavens and the earth has unlimited power to rewrite your story, even now. And as you step into this new year, take comfort in the truth of Lamentations chapter 3, verses 22 and 23. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed. For his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Your new beginning isn't dependent on you, it's anchored in the unchanging faithfulness of God. New beginnings aren't about perfection, they are about progress. I repeat, new beginnings aren't about perfection, they're about progress. Let God write the next chapter of 2025 in your story. This is Dr. Pearl John signing off. Thank you for watching the other 167. Continue watching next week. We continue the series, Tough Questions and Tough Answers. Until then, have a wonderful week ahead. God bless.